Hi, this is Casey from Avanti, and today we're going to introduce you to Avanti's Mini Extruder. Avanti's Mini Extruder allows researchers and scientists to prepare large unilamellar vesicles by extrusion in a rapid and efficient manner. The heating block allows for extrusion at elevated temperatures, which is critical for the successful formation of vesicles from phospholipids whose phase transition temperature is above room temperature. It is constructed of stainless steel and Teflon, which allows for the rapid cleaning of all wetted parts and reduces the downtime between the production of vesicles from different lipid species. The Mini Extruder Complete Set, product 610000, includes the Mini Extruder, 2 gas-tight syringes, the heating block, 100 polycarbonate membranes, and 100 filter supports. Throughout this video, we will briefly walk you through the steps necessary to assemble your Mini Extruder, the extrusion process, give you some tips on the care and cleaning of your syringes, and finally, give you the lowdown on where you can find all the replacement parts for your Mini Extruder right here from Avanti. So what are we waiting for? Let's get ready to make some liposomes. Prior to assembling the Mini Extruder for the first time, clean all parts thoroughly with a mild detergent solution. This should be followed by a rinse in hot tap water and a final rinse in deionized or distilled water. Allow all parts to dry completely before assembling. To assemble the Mini Extruder, place the 2 internal membrane supports on a flat surface with the O-rings pointing upward. Then we're going to pre-wet 2 filter supports in DI water or buffer. Next, we will place one of our pre-wetted filter supports over the Teflon orifice on the inner diameter of the O-ring of one of our internal membrane supports. Next, we will place the internal membrane support containing the filter support into the extruder outer casing with the O-ring facing upward. Next, we will install our polycarbonate membrane into the extruder outer casing over the top of the filter support and the O-ring. As a note, the polycarbonate membranes are the thin, shiny discs, not to be confused with the blue paper discs, which are separators only used to separate individual membranes and should not be installed. Additionally, the polycarbonate membranes and filter supports are intended for a single-use liposome preparation and should not be reused. Now we're ready to add our remaining pre-wetted filter support to the Teflon orifice on the inner diameter of the O-ring of our remaining internal membrane support. Now we will add this internal membrane support to the extruder outer casing, this time with the O-ring pointing downward, being careful not to twist the internal membrane support as it comes in contact with the polycarbonate membrane. We add our Teflon bearing to our retainer nut, and finally, add the retainer nut to the threaded end of the extruder outer casing and hand tighten until finger tight. No need to use a wrench. Now our extruder is fully assembled and we're ready to make our liposomes. For any additional questions on extruder assembly, email us at technical@avantilipids.com. Before we begin, here are a couple of important notes. Extrusion of multilamellar liposomal suspensions using polycarbonate membranes with a pore diameter of greater than 0.2 microns will not produce unilamellar liposomes. Liposomes produced from larger pore membranes will yield a polydispersed suspension of multilamellar liposomes. Unilamellar liposomal suspensions with a low polydispersity are only produced using polycarbonate membranes with a pore size less than or equal to 0.2 microns. Second, the polycarbonate membranes and filter supports are intended for a single-use liposome preparation and should not be reused. To begin the extrusion process, we must first prepare our dry lipid mixture by lyophilization or evaporation. Next, we will place our heating block on the hot plate, insert a thermometer into the well provided on the heating block, switch on the hot plate, and allow the hot plate and the heating block to reach the desired temperature. Next, we will hydrate our dry lipid mixture using a suitable buffer for at least 30 minutes. Always remember, the lipid suspension should be kept above the phase transition temperature of the lipid during hydration and extrusion. As a quick tip, in order to increase the encapsulation efficiency of water-soluble compounds, the lipid suspension may be subjected to 3 to 5 freeze-thaw cycles by alternately placing the sample vial in a dry ice bath and warm water bath. Once the sample is fully hydrated, we will load it into one of our gas-tight syringes. Carefully insert this gas-tight syringe into one end of the extruder. As a quick tip, in order to reduce the dead volume, pre-wet the extruder parts by passing a syringe full of buffer through the extruder and then just discarding the buffer. Additionally, new syringes may have tight-fitting parts, so to facilitate extrusion, it may be necessary to pre-wet the barrel and plunger with buffer prior to inserting the plunger into the barrel. Next, we will add our empty gas-tight syringe to the other side of the mini extruder, making sure the plunger of the empty gas-tight syringe is set to 0. This syringe will begin to fill automatically as the lipid is extruded through the membrane. Next, we need to check the temperature of our heating block. The temperature of the heating block must be below 80 degrees Celsius in order to prevent damage to the syringes. Looks like we're below 80 degrees. And now for the most important note. The extruder apparatus must be fully assembled prior to insertion into the heating block in order to prevent damage. Now we're ready to insert our fully assembled extruder apparatus into the heating block. Insert the hex nut so that any two opposing apexes fall within the vertical plane. Then use the swinging arm clips to secure the syringes into good thermal contact with the heating block. Allow the lipid suspension to equilibrate to the temperature of the heating block for approximately 5 to 10 minutes. To extrude, gently push the plunger of the filled syringe until the lipid solution is completely transferred to the alternate syringe. Then we will gently push the plunger of the alternate syringe until the lipid solution is completely transferred back to the original syringe. Repeat these two steps a minimum of 4 more times for a total of 10 passages through the membrane. In general, the more passages through the membrane, the more homogeneous the lipid suspension becomes. The final extrusion should end in the alternate syringe. This reduces the chances of contamination from forward material and large particles. The lipid solution should begin to clarify to form a slightly hazy, transparent solution. The haze is due to the light scatter of the residual large particles. These large particles may be removed by centrifugation to yield a clear suspension of SUVs. After the final extrusion, remove the extruder from the heating block. Remove the filled syringe and inject the lipid solution into a clean sample vial. As a very important note, when removing the syringes, be sure to pull them straight out of the mini extruder. Removing them at an angle could induce cracking of the syringes. Store your vesicle preparation above the phase transition temperature of the lipid during experimentation. When not in use, store the vesicle preparation at 4 degrees Celsius. Do not freeze. Vesicle preparations in aqueous media are generally not stable for more than 3 to 4 days, and storage of vesicle preparations above 4 degrees or at pH 8 may reduce the lifetime of the vesicle preparation. And now for a few tips on the care and cleaning of your mini extruder and syringes. Immediately after use, disassemble the mini extruder and syringes. Remember, the polycarbonate membranes and filter supports are intended for a single-use liposome preparation and can be discarded. Next, we will thoroughly clean our mini extruder parts using a mild detergent solution and allow it to dry completely prior to reuse with a new lipid preparation. For our syringes, completely disassemble both syringes after use. Depending on your application, clean your syringes with DI water, isopropyl alcohol, or a mild detergent solution. No matter what you choose for cleaning, be sure to rinse with copious amounts of DI water and allow the syringes to dry completely prior to reuse. Now for some important tips. If you must use a sonic cleaner to clean your syringes, only the needle may be cleaned with a sonic cleaner. After cleaning in a sonic cleaner, be sure to rinse with copious amounts of DI water and allow to dry completely prior to reuse. Do not allow your syringes to come in contact with any solvents other than DI water, isopropyl alcohol, or a mild detergent solution. Some organic solvents may interact with the glue that holds the threaded insert onto the tip of the syringe, weakening the bond between the barrel and the insert. And the plunger may need to be replaced after being used at elevated temperatures for extended periods of time. Thank you so much for watching our mini extruder tutorial. We hope you found this information helpful. As always, if you have additional questions, don't hesitate to contact us at technical@avantilipids.com or visit us on the web at avanti-lipids.com.